Reading from the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, Chapter 4, Text 44. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vairi-santarjako Laṅkā, dāhako, durga-bhañjakaḥ, sītā-vārtā-haraḥ svāmi, gāḍhāliṅgana-gocaraḥ. He boldly threatened his enemies, burned Laṅkā, and destroyed its citadel. When he brought back news of Sīta, he received his master's deep embrace. Commentary: Hanuman audaciously challenged Ravana and the other Rakshasas. By killing everyone, Ravana sent to stop him from destroying the Ashok Grove. First 80,000 Rakshasa soldiers, then the great demon Jambumali, then the 7 sons of Ravana's ministers, the 5 commanders of Ravana's armies, and Ravana's own son, Akshaya Kumar. When Hanuman delivered to Lord Ramachandra the news that Sita was safe, the Lord was extremely pleased with him. In text 43 and 44, Bṛhad has listed Hanuman's accomplishments in order of increasing importance. Each additional deed was a more significant reason for Lord Ramachandra's accepting Hanuman as his personal associate. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Taksu and Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Tapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama. So greetings from Sri Govardhan. My ashram now has quite a congregation here. It's so nice. Devotees appreciating, associating together. We just finished Damodar Ashtakam. In the morning at 5:30, we go around half of Govardhan Hill. And today, it was just so mystical because it's Kartik. And, you know, it can get crowded, but it was practically we're the only ones there. And it was a little misty and it was so quiet. It was actually practically the nicest parikram we did. It's just so sweet and just so humble. And, you know, the experience, of course, Kartik, just Ekadasi, which is tomorrow, Bhakati Janani, what is it? Madhavatiti Bhakati Janani, the days of Lord Hari give birth to devotion. That's a very powerful thing. And what to speak of Kartik in Vrindavan. One time with Giriraj Swami, we visited somehow this most famous saint in Vrindavan, one of the top 2 or 3 people recognized as like the most exalted. There's these spiritual all-stars. Mm-hmm. And anyway, it was near Chukleshwar Mahadev on Govardhan Hill. And he's an old man, and his bed was in his facilities was, it's kind of like bed was in like had a wood bed in the hallway. He was so famous. I forgot what he said. But he was talking about, he just said something about Kartik. He's in Vrindavan. He said what is very difficult to achieve, outside of Vrindavan kind of can be, prema was very easily to be achieved during Kartik. It's very special with so many people performing vows. And yesterday, and those of you who come here will do this now. I have a very close, I meet him every day on Prikram. He's 84 years old. And his family of Brahmins, they've been cooking rotis for the people that go around the Prikram every day. Because people who, if you just want to chant, you can't have a kitchen, and you just go Radhe Radhe to some Brahmin's house. So they cook it. And we saw the mother was downstairs. She loved that service. She was sitting with a whole tiffin of hot chapatis and some sabji, and the sadhus would come. And we took there. It was competitive with Sridhar in the, I never thought I'd say that, but they were so good. If anyone comes to Govardhan, we'll go there. And then we were on the Parikram path. We go every morning, and we're going by the Govinda Kund side. And after Govinda Kund, we're walking, and the path is so crowded that there's no room for us to go past it. It's going very slow. And the reason it's going slow is that there's one sadhu, which I now know is quite famous, named Chaitanya Baba. And he's been going around twice a day for 30 years. And he's crippled. So he has it like a crutch on one and a hand on another. And he's walking along there. And so that's the way it is in Vrindavan in spiritual life. When you just remain absorbed here, then magic happens. I think Raghunath, you say Krishna magic, miracle. But today I had another Krishna magic. I went to take lunch with Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta Swami. It's not my usual schedule, but it takes at 11:30. And then somehow or other, usually I get a scooter ride back, but somehow everybody dispersed. I just started walking. And then a scooter passes me. And then the scooter comes back and says, "Would you like a lift back to your place?" I said, "Sure." So I get on it, and he said, "Would you like to see my Radha Krishna deities?" And I said, "Sure." So we go back to his place, and it's really something, because he has one of these places that I think has an upstairs in this Braj Sundari. But there's no living room. There's a bed in the living room. And it's just so much family and upstairs. And I guess it was just, and a lot of ladies, her friends, these are older Russian people, and beautiful spiritual children. And then he takes me into his bedroom where his deities are. And he has a couch, and he has his deities before, and you can see it. And I can't even describe it, what he has. He has Radha Krishna. And then he has the Astika Sakhis. Then he has Govardhan Hill. And then he has deities, small deities, little like this, of at least 200 Vaishnavas, of I mean, he has a little deity of Bhakti-tirtha Swami and Sachinandana Swami and Jayapataka, and it's all kind of coordinated. And he has a way of explaining how each fits into his spiritual life. And then on the other side, he has even the corner a few famous Radhakund Babaji's deities, and all the associates, Rupa Goswami and the six Goswamis, and then all these. And I mean, there's so many. They have Ayendra on his harmonium behind Prabhupada with Gaur Govinda Maharaj. I mean, basically, and these little deities you can actually recognize them. Satyananda Swami has his hair with his like orange charter, and Chaitanya Charan, you see his, and Bhakti-tirtha Swami has his little red hat that he used to wear. But more than that, it was the person's bhava. He had a little piece of each of these people in his life, and it was very elaborate in describing the mood. And Lord Chaitanya was there, and on one side, and then there was something with Jagannath and Lord. So it was just it's going to be part of my parikram now. We'll go there. We'll go there one day.
What is his name?
Gauranga Nam, disciple of Bhakti-Vignana Swami. He has Ananda Vardhana, Bhakti-Vignana Goswami's disciple, and really amazing. So we're really getting into our Kartik, chanting a lot, doing kirtans. Went to Vrindavan. I give class there sometimes. And then we went to Titiyasthan, which is really nice, where they have the Drupad Kirtan. Most difficult classical kirtan the sadhus chant. Now we're here in the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, in this progression of devotees that follows the progression of the Bhagavatam, but in the story of Narada Muni looking for the topmost recipient of Krishna's mercy. And my analysis is that the objective of the Bhagavatam and Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta is that you can hear about Radha and Krishna and see it as the highest devotion and not something mundane. And just being here this month with the Vaishnavas, and going around I had a little realization about that, is that as your devotion increases and it becomes maybe a little bit of a bhava, you're starting to develop a mood, then when that becomes your heart, just like if your heart is lust, then you look for the opposite sex. If your heart is, money, then you look for business deals. But when your heart is devotion, you look for objects of devotion to inspire you. So when you're in that mood, then when you're looking at Radha and Krishna, you're looking at it as a mood of something to inspire your devotion. And then you see it as devotion. And because I've been speaking on this, it's going to Radha Krishna. And then when I go into Vrindavan, we're speaking on a very high subject that the devotees there that I speak to chose, which is, the manifestation of Lord Chaitanya's ecstatic love and Radharani's lamentation. So I always have to speak about how do you see these things, in not a mundane way. And the only way to see them in not a mundane way is to live in a devotional way and have your consciousness such that that becomes the inspiration of what you're looking for. And so you're glad to see it in Radha and Krishna, as you're glad to see it. I knew this one sadhu, and he was in an ashram, and he used to be like practically like a state champion athlete. And then somehow or other, he met a Vaishnav, and he became so inspired in devotion, he left everything. Even he had a family. This is not to be imitated. It can't be artificial, but he left everything and became a great Vaishnava. But somehow, after all that activity, he was also intellectual. So he had a lot of sitting work, and he got sick. And then, you know how it is in these ashrams, you can become, you come for that inner inspiration, and you become kind of overwhelmed with work. So he blooped, but blooping in Vrindavan, he blooped higher. He went to Govardhan. He went to Govardhan. And that's how I knew about this sadhu, Priya, what is it? I mentioned his name, I forgot this sadhu, which I met, because he was going to see that sadhu, and he told me about him. Priya Charan Babaji, very saintly man. And he told me, every time he saw a devotee, he cried. Every time he read the Bhagavatam, he cried. Every time he saw Govardhan Hill, he cried. And then, he went back to his service, and that was his duty. But in this progression, to get us to that point and instill devotion within our hearts, it just gives us this the same thing in each of them, but just it's like a little bit of a different flavor or mood. But people just want to serve Krishna and have no ayabilashita shunyam, and have no other extraneous desires or motives. And they're always engaged, and you can see that that's their life. And therefore they're not in the pursuit of superiority, which is what the ego does in this world, but they're in pursuit of the service. Just like Radharani, she competes with Chandravali for Krishna. But if she thought that Chandravali can serve Krishna more, she would serve Chandravali. The competition is only, I can give Krishna this pleasure. So that's the mood, and we see it. But when we see it in these different rasas, these different flavors, these different moods, I think when you see a concept applied in different ways, it helps deepen your understanding of that concept. Because when you see Radha and Krishna, then it'll enable you to see it in those forms, which are the most challenging forms, in one sense, to see devotion, because they correspond to our most intense material desires externally, but they're just products of devotion. So, and then in the same sense, we see the humility of one that points to another. So this is Prahlad. He's deflecting praise of himself by pointing to Hanuman. And of course, some of the differentiations he sees is that he was praised by Narada. He was praised by Narada. Lord Shiva told Narada about Prahlad as the best of the devotees, and he was praised because he had such intimate relationship with God. When Lord Brahma was standing there terrified when he saw Nrsingadev, Nrsingadev called Prahlad over and put his paws on his head and started licking him. with such affection. But Prahlad said, that was a fleeting moment. But Hanuman always lives. He always lives with Lord Ramachandra. And while I was just meditating, Prahlad was doing service. He was completely absorbed in service. And also made some comments about meditation, which the goal is to think of Krishna. But our understanding is we think of Krishna more when our senses are engaged in Krishna. And that when we do kirtan, our meditation on Krishna is much more powerful than when we just try to do it just by the mind. Because if you have any type of anxiety or something, when you go to the mind, it's going to be absorbed. Well, kirtan just absorbs all the senses and then the mind. So all these things were spoken. And then Prahlad begins to glorify Hanuman's service. And the object of service is anukulyena Krishnanu. It should be pleasing to Krishna. And Krishna, as Prabhupada said in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is responsive. So it's nice when there's reciprocation, when there's acknowledgement of that. That's one of the desires of Prem Bhakti. It's to serve, it's to be in the Lord's presence, and to have a relationship. So when there's that reciprocation comes. So he did this service. It's going to be described as service, and then it's going to be described the reciprocation here. Lord Ramachandra embraced him. He embraced him. It's something special when that's recognized. Oh yeah, in this in this thing of all the deities, he has Vishnu John. He has this incredible deity of Jayananda, Prabhupada's disciple. It looks just like him. He has one of Shivaram Swami. It's just amazing. We'll have so much fun. And this person really has a lot of bhava. He has a lot of bhava. And he said that there's a famous Baba in Radhakund. He must be in his hundreds. And because when we go on Prikram, sometimes he's going on Prikram, but his disciples have this wheel cart, and they're wheeling him in the cart. Yeah, he's wheeling him in the cart. He must be 100. So he has a disciple, and this person somehow knows his chief disciple. So he's so far out. He became friends with that person. He would visit him, bring him gifts, and then he begged the person to come see his deities. But the person said, "I've taken Kshetra Sannyas." Kshetra Sannyas is a vow that you never leave the Dham. But this person took Kshetra Sannyas for Radhakund. He never leaves Radhakund. So my friend, now he's my friend. He saw him and he begged him to come. He said, "I'm not going to come." He said, "Then I'll never visit you again unless you come see my place." So the person agreed. So he came and he saw. And then he saw on one side, first, the whole thing, the way it's Radha Krishna beautiful on this hill. And then there's the Astakasakis. Then there's like the 6 Goswamis. And then on one side is Dhanishta and different types of gopis. And the other side is the of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So then he saw the ISKCON sannyasis, and he saw 3 or 4 of the saints of Radhakund. And he liked that all the Vaishnavas, he said, this is the saints of Radhakund. He said the guy fainted on his couch. He just fainted on his couch. He thought it was so ecstatic that the Vaishnavas were together. So this acceptance. So I was saying Jayananda. So I was in the room when Prabhupada came to leave the world, and he told us he was leaving, and he started to speak about Jayananda, and started to speak about how much this one devotee who passed away, how much he was in Prabhupada's heart. And then when I saw that, I kind of, it's so beautiful, that acceptance, that acknowledgement of relationship in a very deep way. So Prahlad is saying that about Hanuman. Now we're just going to read, because it's mostly rasa, it's not tattva. So there's not much to speak about rasa, only to relish it. Swaprabhurvahaka shreshta sveta chatrika puchaka sukhasana mahaprishta setu bandha kriyagrani. It was Hanuman who acted as his Lord's best carrier, his tail serving as a royal white umbrella, his broad back a comfortable seat for the Lord. And it was Hanuman who directed the project of bridging the ocean. So it describes services which may not necessarily describe someone as the most exalted devotee in one sense. He did a big service. But when these things are glorified, even things that other people can do, but when you know that these great tasks that are being done for Krishna with love by these devotees, then it has some real sense. So even though it's not going to describe his emotions, it's going to describe the work he did. Hanuman is the best of all the Lord's carriers, including Garuda. When his master needed to travel from Kishkinda to the southern shore of the ocean, Hanuman carried him all the way on his broad, beautiful, soft back. In modern times, people take the liberty to carry umbrellas of any color they like. But traditionally, only kings were allowed to use white umbrellas. To equip Lord Ramachandra with this symbol of royalty while in the forest, where manufactured umbrellas were not available, Hanuman provided his own white tail. Hanuman took a major part in building the bridge to Laṅkā, and he inspired the monkey labor force by hurling the largest boulders into place. Hanuman ki jai, Haribo. Bhav, Hanuman, Haribo. Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta sampadi raksho bala vinashakrit vishalya karani namau nayana shaktiman. So he fulfilled the desires of Bibhishan. He destroyed the military force of the Rakshasas, and he had the special power to deliver the healing herb called Vishalya Karani. So Bibhishan was Ravana's brother, but he wanted to be a servant of Ram. And Hanuman used to preach to him. And then Bibhishan defected and crossed the ocean, and Hanuman arranged for him to meet the Lord. And, Sanatana Swami, he assumes that the readers are familiar with the Ramayana. And therefore he doesn't get into all the details. I lament, somehow I never read the Ramayana Mahabharata. I should do that. I just got to get the right. It's so, these books been on the bestseller list for like 5,000 years. They had this serial of Mahabharata on television. It came out about 25 years ago. You couldn't see one soul on the streets of India. And it was the same time as Parliament, and they had to change the time of Parliament. They had to change the time of Parliament. Indians, it's God's country. And when you go around, today when we went around, so many Vaishnavas were giving us blessings. So many Vaishnavas were giving us blessings. It was amazing. It was blessings. They were just happy to see us. Jai Radhe, smiling. So one time I was in Barsana and I was taking Prikram of, I think it's Krishna-katha. Before you go up on Barsana, there's that nice kund. Krishna-katha. So I was walking up, and then there was this open room, and I see the famous Ramesh Baba with all these Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, children, old people, and these old Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛtas with big spaces in between their teeth, and they're watching Krishna on television. They put a serial Krishna on television. I think Ramesh Baba maybe had some little kids on his lap. It's like real family. And in India, what happens when they do the commercials are as long as the thing. I guess people like to watch the commercials. So the commercials are about 10 minutes. So he would have the commercial shut off and do kirtan. Wow. And then I remember the part, and the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta was smiling. It was, the part was, it was so well done. It was the wrestling arena. And then Krishna and Balaram, they're just kids. And there was these huge, incredible, powerful demon wrestlers, Trinura and Mushtika. And then you see the audience, and the audience is getting disturbed. And then someone says, Anyaya. Nyaya means logic or right. He says, Anyaya. He said, these are just little kids, and this is a big person. And then another one says, yes, Anyaya. And then there's like a revolution. You see that, like, the faces in the crowd, and they're going, and there's almost going to be like a revolt. And they're saying, Anyaya, Anyaya. And Kamsa's all like getting worried and upset. And then Kamsa says, Anyaya? He said, this little kid lifted up a mountain. He killed a giant python. He said, Anyaya? He says, Nyaya! This is fair. And they were just laughing at such joy. It just shows how real joy is love. And you don't need all these incredible gadgets and everything, and a complicated society for pleasure. Yeah, when you go into this Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta's home, all families there, they're all blissful. Yeah, I know the children too, but they've grown up now. And the daughter was getting married, probably, she's probably 19 now, she's getting married. And I got an invitation, and it's at the wrong time for me during Kartik. It's eating a wedding feast at like 8 p.m. at night. But I thought the sacrifice will be worth it to solidify the relationship with these people, because they're going to be on our stop. Anybody comes to Govardhan, you're going to get the softest rotis you ever tasted. Everybody's shaking their head. Yeah, it was beautiful. And they first served this really nice rice. They're not so much there. And there was curry and vegetables. And then the roti started coming out. And then there was this one-on-one contest between me and Sham Kishore. He was taking one, I was taking one, he was taking one, I was taking one. Ladies don't eat much, but I'm the Maharaj. So then, Swasainya Prana Dashrimat, Sanuja Prabhu Harshika, Gato Hanatam Bhartur, Bhaktya Lakshmanasya Cha. I like this. He was the very life of his soldiers. It's a real leader. You know, it's a real leader commands respect. I once went up in the Indian Military Academy, huge institution. Because you can have a third world country, but not a third world army. Not. And it's, I'll tell this story. Some of you may have heard it, some not. So one of my teachers met him in the British Council Library, the principal of the Indian military, which has like more courses than any university in the world. I mean, it's, so I went up there, I got this invitation, and they had to call. Okay, I have to shut it off because it's going to make noise. The very last one. Yeah, so, the guard had to call, and then a military jeep had to pick me up. And then I went to meet the principal. And it's right on the foothills of the Himalayas. So, the British style, there's chairs in a circle and you sit outside. And then he tells me, he said, the person who trains the military, he wants to meet you, Colonel Balsara. And the guy comes out and he tells me, he said, he had like a tape recorder. He said, I want to play you from the Sound and Life show from the 50th anniversary, the memorial of the Indian Military Academy. So he turns it on. And the first thing you hear is, Arjuna pierced the eye of the fish. And then I'm saying, well, so I'm listening, then I realize what it is. That this is, it's not just a coincidence. When the British wanted to have a training place in India for the soldiers, you don't do it in the desert of Rajasthan. You have to have temperate climate. So these are hill stations. Dehradun is quite the biggest city in like Himachal Pradesh or something, so it's where the best schools are. And so the British picked there, but they didn't know it's the same place that Dronacharya picked for the same reason. And therefore the name Dehradun, Dare means place, and Dun stands for Drona. So it was the place of Dronacharya. But when Colonel Balsara came out, and if there was like an attack from, the Chinese or the Pakistanis, and he said charge, I would have been behind it. He was so inspiring, Colonel Balsara. They have like dignity, and they the way they hold themselves, like real Kshatriyas. So Swasainya of his soldiers, Pranada and Srimat Anuja Prabhu Harshika. Harsha means joy. Ka means the giver of joy to the divine Lord and his younger brother Lakshman, and he devotedly served as a carrier for them both. Jaya Sampa Dakastasya Mahabhuti Parakrama Satkirti Vardhano Raksho Rajahantur Nija Prabho. Supremely intelligent and valorous, he brought victory for Lord Ramachandra. He added to the spotless fame of the Lord who killed the king of the Rakshasas. So he set the stage for the killing of Ravana, and he was giving strategic advice to the army. So it's so nice when you have all these qualities, but they're used by God. So they represent your devotion. And plus the fact when you're a devotee, you can be empowered to do things beyond your own ability. Sarvasya chahamini sani vishto. I'm situated in everyone's heart. For me comes forgetfulness, remembrance, and knowledge. Sītā-vārtā-haraḥ Swami, saprasadhaika bhajanam, agyayat meshvaras yatra, sītopi virahasaka. It was Hanuman who encouraged Mother Sita, and by the Lord's order, this Hanuman, the one true recipient of his master's favor, still lives in this world, though unable to bear separation from the Lord. So we'll finish with this paragraph, this commentary. After Lord Ramachandra killed Ravana in battle, Hanuman brought this news to Mother Sita in the Ashok garden. This brought Sita back to life, and her life became full in happiness when Hanuman took her to meet her husband. Thus Hanuman rendered many kinds of welcome service to Lord Ram and his dear devotees. After describing this, Prahlad next mentions the rewards Hanuman enjoyed for his service. When Lord Ramachandra was anointed king of Ayodhya, he particularly favored Hanuman by presenting him Mother Sita's gold necklace. More than this, he granted Hanuman unflinching pure devotion to him. Since Hanuman's life with Lord Ramachandra after the victory is so fortunate, one might ask how he could ever left the Lord's association. Why did he not return with Lord Ram to the eternal Ayodhya and Vaikuntha along with the other residents of the kingdom? The answer is his Lord specifically asked him to stay behind on earth. Atmeshvara means his own Lord and also means the Lord of all Atmas. In other words, by staying in this world, Hanuman gave all its inhabitants a much better chance to take to the path of pure devotional service. Lord Ramachandra ordered Hanuman to make this severe sacrifice because the Lord wanted to bestow such mercy on the conditioned souls. Living in separation from the Lord is Hanuman's most difficult and glorious service. So I remember when I went up to this Indian military academy, we didn't take cars, so I was taking a bus. And it's past Rishikesh. So I remember, and I had my dunda, my stick. You get a religious stick when you're a sannyasi, but after 9/11 to carry it around on planes, it just gave that thing up. I still have it someplace. So I remember when I got at the bus, it was kind of hot and dusty. And I got in the back of the bus. And I was sitting between an old lady and an old man, both who were coughing and probably had tuberculosis. And I was sitting there in this bus, but I had so much pleasure from it because it was so obvious I wasn't doing this for my own enjoyment. That the only reason I was doing it is for service. So I had some kind of, and the preaching was so successful that principal in the military academy, after I spoke to him, he joined this guy and he stayed with us for 6 months. So he told me his whole story. He's a very religious man. And during the partition, he was in Punjab part of Pakistan, and then he had to go to Delhi with nothing. So he didn't get married till he was older, and he should be, had this religious nature. Okay. It's so good. I'll tell you, the people here, it's also good. I have this live audience today. And Pavani and Leela I met today. Andrea. So, hey, Jai, you must have some comment today. And I'm looking at all, one second, I'm looking at all the names, so I know everybody who's come today. Okay. Yes, Jaya.
Hare Krishna Raj. Thank you for class. Thank you for the stories of increasing our separation. And I long to see that place, to see all those little murtis of those great souls. I'm a huge Hanuman fan. So the minute anything comes up about Hanuman, I am blissed out. But that extra point that I never really thought about. I mean, I always knew that Hanuman is eternal here with us, but I never really thought that why he is and why he's not with Lord Ram, which is where he would want to be, and that he's here for us. And it makes sense, because that's what he's all about, is every superpower that anybody could ever want, but he never once uses it for himself. And so he stays, as you said, to give us the best chance, to sort of hang on to his tail and take us back to his Lord. So thank you for getting out that detail, because I never thought about that before.
Wow, that's nice. That's nice, Jaya. That's good.
Hanumans all over my apartment. As you were talking, I'm like
looking at all
my little statues.
What's your husband? What's your husband's name again?
Jimmy.
What does Jimmy think about Hanuman?
He loves him. He said, because I have really long arms, so he goes, I think it kind of looks like you.
I mean, if you can laugh, I love Jimmy's sense of humor. You know that.
Yes. Yesterday was his birthday, so
yeah, I mean, he really got that dry New York humor.
He does.
He does it. Yes. Okay. Anybody else say hello? Gail?
Hi, Krishna Maharaj. Yeah, what got my attention? Can you hear me well? I have on these headphones.
Always not so well, but
okay.
Not like
anyway. Yeah, I forgot to take them off. Yeah, I just, it really got my attention when you said that, when you're talking about the fact that, we like for our relationship with someone that, we feel close to, is acknowledged by that person. That's just so fulfilling for the heart.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It is. Okay, thank you, Gail. Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for class.
We had it.
To work. I have to make a living. I go only 2 days a week right now to the city, and then I work from home the other 3 days.
What's next to you?
This little thing. My little hippie bus.
Okay, I see it. It was from the windshield. I didn't know. I thought it was like a doll next to you.
No.
Okay. Okay. Have a nice day. Haribo. Ishwari Sundari. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Gumaraj, Tota Gopinath here. So great to hear from you.
Okay, we'll see you here soon.
I hope night and day. That's all I think about is Govardhan. Night and day, every day.
Well, you're the one you're going to go around the whole thing every day. Everyone's going to do half.
Your wish is my command.
we got you plugged for the morning and right after lunch.
All right, sounds great.
You and every Monday. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna.
Hello. Okay. Great to see you. You want to say hello to everybody? Okay, here we go.
Haribo.
Miss you guys.
Okay. Roger, you're still here in Govardhan in your mind, although your body is in Tom's rivers, right?
Yeah.
You were flying high.
Yeah, it was a great trip.
You can see, you really, when you do these things, you really get absorbed in devotion. It makes so much more relevance.
Yeah.
You like my ashram?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I loved it.
It's great, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You came to some class I gave here too, right?
Yeah, we crashed that one class we were not invited to. Well, you didn't know we were.
Whose group was that?
After Jai Jagannath's class.
Jai Jagannath's group came, yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that was fun.
Told me about it, so that's why we came. But I'm glad we did.
No, it was great. And then you met up with Raghunath someplace and he drove you crazy for the rest of the day. Non-stop. Okay, next thing. Okay, let's go. Okay, all right. No,
Yeah.
I was exhausted hearing about it. Okay, let's go there. Oh, Krishna Murari called. Okay, let's go to Chandrasarva. Okay. All right.
We did a lot. We really did a lot.
Satyananda Swami's house at night. Okay, let's go. Anyway, he kept you guys busy. Okay.
Yeah, it was great.
Okay. Anybody else say hello? I know everybody's here because I saw the numbers. So
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Amrita
Kishori. Amrita Kishori now.
Amrita Kishori. Okay.
Yes, I'll be there soon. In less than a week.
Right. Oh, okay. You'll come visit me out here, right?
I hope so.
Okay, great.
Thanks. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Anybody else?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Radhika. Okay, Haribo.
Thanks for the class, Maharaj. Thank you.
Maybe we should touch base soon.
Okay.
Okay.
Haribo.
Anybody else?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Jai Shri Radhe. Haribo.
Thank you so much for Govardhan Katha and Sadhu's Katha. It really brings my heart right there. I can see the sights, smell the smells. It's amazing. Thank you for your ability to really transport me there.
Okay, I just realized I have a phone call coming, so I'll have to say goodbye now. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyas Jakrapa Sindhu Bheva.